everybody, this is Super Bazooka here, and today I'd like to talk about Battlefield 4. Now Battlefield 4 just came out about a week ago roughly, and I'd just like to give you my first impressions of it. I was able to play a good amount of hours, and I really think that I can finally give a good first impressions on the game. Now this is obviously the successor to Battlefield 3, surprise surprise, but I have some good news, and I really think that this is a much better game than Battlefield 3. Now the reason I think it's a much better game than Battlefield 3 is because I think the balancing in almost every way is much better. The classes have been balanced a lot. Your Soul class is no longer way overpowered and way overused. It's actually been nerfed significantly. Train reviving isn't an issue anymore, and you can only revive to a certain extent. You only have 3 charges and you can only revive somebody at 20% health unless you make a full charge and heal them at 100% health, but this also takes longer. I usually go for the 20% revive because it's faster, and otherwise if I stay there charging my defibrillators I'll probably get killed. Other very good changes I think they made to the classes were the Recon class and the Support class. Now the Recon class received a pretty hefty buff. They now carry C4 and are able to deal with vehicles. Another really good buff that they received in my opinion was the ability to zero in with their sniper rifles. So you can now literally headshot somebody from hundreds of meters away and put your reticle directly on their head. The support also received a couple of very good improvements. For example, they have the air burst and mortar strike. Now these two gadgets are probably going to be very useful. I haven't unlocked the mortar strike yet, but I will in the future. Now the airburst is very useful because it is very good at taking out people behind cover. I actually really find this weapon useful. The class that received the least amount of improvements or modifications is the engineer class. Now the engineer class is my favourite, and to be honest I think it's really balanced compared to the rest. With one of the gadgets that the Recon has, the PLD, Portable Laser Designator, the engineer class can become very powerful because its missiles with the PLD locked on to an enemy vehicle or an aircraft can actually lock on with its missiles. Now in my opinion this is a little bit overpowered. You literally have missiles just flying left and right, hitting helicopters and just blowing them out of the sky. But hey, I guess we'll have to see in the future if this really becomes a problem. The weapons in Battlefield 4 also received quite a big change. Now, some of the weapons from Battlefield 3 are returning, but for the most part, the weapons are pretty new. Now, the weapons in Battlefield 4 compared to Battlefield 3 are easier to control and to handle, and this makes the game feel a little bit more arcadey. In my opinion, I'm not really sure if it's a good change or not. I haven't really tried all of the guns yet, as this is only a first impressions. Now, I really hope that some of the guns down the line, like the AEK or the FAMAS, which have very high rates of fire, actually have quite a lot of kick to them. Now, in Battlefield 4, the LMGs have received quite a big buff compared to Battlefield 3. In Battlefield 4, the LMGs control so much better compared to Battlefield 3. The recoil is a lot less, and they have now become way more manageable to control. They are actually really useful, and if you tap fire, you can actually be very accurate with them. They're pretty much assault rifles with a little bit less accuracy, but with a higher bullet count, which is pretty cool in my opinion. The sniper rifles have also received some pretty significant changes. The ability to zero in on your target is a big feature and makes the Recon class a lot more valuable as a class in general. In the previous game, Battlefield 3, the Recon class was pretty bad in my opinion. They were not very good at what they did at all because the suppression effect was way too high and it messed with their aim too much. Now, with the zeroing in functionality, making headshots long distances is a lot easier, and I actually appreciate this, as in Battlefield 3 I found that it was a little bit too hard. Talking about accuracy, the suppression effect in Battlefield 4 has changed significantly. Suppression now affects you a lot less compared to Battlefield 3, and you no longer have random bullet deviation, but it's a simple effect where your aim down sight's accuracy is worse because the sway of your scope is higher. This is a lot better compared to the random bullet deviation because it makes the skill cap to learn the game mechanics a lot harder and a lot higher, which is very preferable compared to a random chance of hitting your enemy to get a random kill, which I didn't really like that much. Now, Battlefield 3 did have its fair share of problems, one of the biggest ones being the netcode. The netcode in that game was not very good at all. In fact, it was downright bad. In the Battlefield 4 beta, the netcode was actually pretty good, but unfortunately in these last couple of days I've been experiencing some really bad netcode issues. I'm dying randomly, and really the netcode has become even worse than it was in Battlefield 3. Now sure, the game has just launched and it's bound to have some bugs, but the netcode issue has to be sorted. There are also other problems concerning server freezes and crashes where people lose all of their experience. Now this is not acceptable at all. I personally have not confronted this problem before, and I'm happy to say that, but unfortunately others have. This has to stop and has to be fixed immediately. Now, the biggest bugbear I had with Battlefield 3 was, in the vanilla maps, there was a pretty poor map design in my opinion. But in Battlefield 4, I'm happy to say that has been completely eliminated. Map design in Battlefield 4 is much better. The maps are so good. I enjoy all of the maps. There is no map out of all of the vanilla maps so far that I have tried that I do not like. The map design is a lot better. You can maneuver around your enemy, you can flank them easier, and they were just better designed in general. The graphics too have seen a pretty big improvement. Now I have a Nvidia machine and you can see my system specs on my channel, and the game runs pretty good on ultra settings really. Now in Battlefield 4 not only have the maps improved, but so have the game modes. Now not only do we have the classic Rush and Conquest game modes, which are as fun as ever, we also have the Obliteration and Domination game mode. Now, I haven't really had much of a chance to play Domination and Obliteration, and I will in the future, but I can say that Rush and Conquest work great on most of the maps, and they are still incredibly fun to play. The only issues I've encountered so far are to do with the frame drops. At one point I'm sitting in a good 60 FPS, the next point I'm sitting at a pretty bad 30 FPS. I'm not really sure what's happening there. I think Nvidia should roll out a patch to fix that. I am using the latest drivers. Overall, I think I can safely say that I am really enjoying the Battlefield 4 launch. Although it has pretty big bugs, overall the game is really fun to play. I also had a chance to try out the single player campaign. I haven't completed it yet obviously, but I can say that it is a good single player campaign. It is at least a lot better than Battlefield 3's campaign. Of course, Battlefield 3's campaign didn't really set the bar too high to begin with, but it is a lot less linear. Linear nonetheless, but a lot less linear. Well then guys, that was my opinion on the Battlefield 4 release. Overall, a pretty okay release. Got some bugs, it's got some issues, they just need to iron them out a little bit. I'm a pretty big optimist, I think they'll all fix them pretty soon. But anyway, those are my thoughts, and I'd like to know yours in the comment section. Alright then guys, I'll leave you with some gameplay in the background of Operation Locker on Rush, and I'll see you guys next time.